potentially confrontational question to ask you, or I think a lot of people have their own opinions on this. Do you think relapse is a part of recovery?
No.
Can you explain why?
I mean, yes, you hear it all the time, like, oh, relapse is a part of recovery. And it's true in the extent that for the majority of people getting sober, they have setbacks, they have relapses, but it does not have to be a part of it. Because if you're actually truly practicing and building a strong basis of recovery and you are doing the things that you are supposed to be doing and you have kind of that recovery system set up, you won't then relapse. So it's not something that you actually have to do. So that's, I know that there's probably a whole large group that's disagreeing with me because you hear like relapse is a part of it. Yeah, for the majority of people, but it doesn't have to be. It is
No, and I love. We're on the same page. I always say relapse is not a part of recovery; it's actually a lack thereof.
one of the things you and I actually fought like
Yeah,
about with that part of the inconsistencies and everything else. And it was heartbreaking seeing that happen. But at the same time, like the journey you're on now is amazing and you're making the right decisions and doing the right thing. So it shows like the possibility of really truly having like a strong recovery program. How to handle it in a healthy way is first learn from it. Like take it as a learning experience, not this idea of a failure. And it is be honest, 100% rigorously honest with your support group. Take accountability. Don't make excuses. Just like what I say to everyone, I'm like, put on your big girl pants, like pull up your, put on your big girl panties and take accountability. Don't make excuses for it. Be honest and then truly look where did you start relaxing? Like, what did you start relaxing on? What routines did you kind of back off of what you were doing? So I think it's part of really looking and saying, here's the areas within my recovery that I started kind of falling back on. Because if you learn from that and you strengthen that, that's how you then kind of see the setback or the relapse differently and then can prevent it from happening again.
yeah. I mean, that goes back to, and I think a prime example of that is some of the things that you touched on are the things that kept me sick. Right, as I was not willing to get completely open and honest because I had so much shame and guilt, and I just prolonged the inevitable, which was ultimately going to happen. And so I think, I mean, just that is if as a takeaway from somebody that is in recovery, like the first thing that I wish I had done in the beginning was just be honest. You know what I mean? Just simply by being honest is that first step. Okay, so now I appreciate that, Mandy. So something that I also want to talk about is why is recovery often described as a lifelong journey instead of something that ends?
Well, I mean, because it is a lifelong journey. And back to like when we were talking, the last podcast around how addiction rewires, like fundamentally changes the brain. Recovery has to be a lifelong journey because it's not just about abstaining from alcohol, it is about managing a brain disease. So, in order to do that, you have to constantly learn new coping mechanisms. You are rebuilding a life, and life isn't just like one day. I mean, it just keeps kind of going. And so, you are literally learning to live life on life's terms. And with life, I mean, there's so many different phases. I mean, you're constantly growing, and life is changing around you. So, recovery does as well. So it is a lifelong part, just like it's not a one-time decision of like, okay, I'm gonna be stay sober. You have to actually build a recovery program. And so that's the part of why it is a lifelong journey is because you're constantly growing. You're constantly like learning the process of like how to stay in recovery and what that looks like on life's term.
That's why I always like the thing I would hear in meetings is it's not alcoholism, it's alcoholism,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's kind of a funny little thing to hold on to. So, what habits or practices do you need? Do you see in people who stay sober long term?
The number one thing is they build strong foundations. And like that includes, like, when you look at a strong foundation, or what I see in the ones that do stay sober for a very long time and have maintained sobriety, is it is building a very strong support system. So that includes like the people, around you. It is establishing accountability with that support system. It is gaining sober friends, supportive friends. It is getting yourself involved in some type of support group, whether that is AA or Celebrate Recovery or men's kind of studies and women's studies, whatever it is, the support kind of group. I think two of the big things is maintaining boundaries. Like, people with long term sobriety have boundaries. They know how to create them, they know how to maintain them, and they create routines that they do not deviate from. And I think all of those
Mm.
pieces, what is like a strong recovery foundation. And that is when I see people and I have patients, that have long term sobriety. My husband, 14 years, like, sober. And when I look at his kind of life, if I look at my patients, the ones with like this strong learn term, oh my gosh, long term foundation, variety is that they have built a strong foundation.
But what boundaries are essential for protecting long term recovery?
Oh my gosh, like, there's a few. I mean, the ones that immediately kind of pop in is social and relationship boundaries, emotional boundaries, and environmental boundaries. And so, like, breaking those down, I mean, like, the social relationship boundaries is distancing yourself from unhealthy relationships, because you have to have very strong boundaries within any relationship that you're going to have to stay kind of sober, and it needs to be healthy. I mean, sick people attract sick people, healthy people attract healthy people. And so it's that part of the people around you is your biggest. And so having strong boundaries within like all of your relationships, I think emotional boundaries, protecting your mental health. Because
Yes.
with recovery, with addiction, there is so many underlining like mental health pieces, and how we first talked about the importance of kind of emotions and feelings within like your thought process, protecting your emotional health. So setting up emotional boundaries, which a lot of times is learning to say no,
Yeah.
how to
Yeah.
like prioritize kind of the right things. And so that's a big one. And I think environmental pieces is really looking at the avoiding like certain triggers, places, people, situations.
Yep.
You could kind of easily like gravitate back to drinking or using drugs, or kind of both. And so those are the strong boundaries. Like, if you can set up strong emotional boundaries, social relationship boundaries, and environmental boundaries, like, I think that's the area where a lot of people struggle in, but that's also where success lies.
Yeah. No is a complete sentence.
Yes, it is.
And, you are a product of your environment. And I mean, those things are all hold so true to this. All right.
Yeah.
So in closing, I mean, it's awesome because we could talk about so much of this stuff, and maybe we'll do it again. But what's one message of encouragement for someone worried about staying sober long term?
Oh my gosh, like, you can do it. I mean, I think that's the part of really kind of just knowing, like, you can do it. Because I think it's also the process, like, a lot of people look at it as this, like, "Oh my god, how am I gonna stay sober for a year, 2 years? What's that gonna look like?" It is you can do this. And the way that you do it is stay in the present. One day at a time. It is the cheesiest slogan, but it is the like best, literally one day at a time. And you can, if you keep that mentality just for today and you make like the right decisions, like that's it. You don't need to think about 5 years from now. All you got to focus on is the what is, and the what is what's happening today.
So good. So true. And I think it's just important. The reason those slogans are catchy and they stick around is because they work.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen and what I've learned through this process. But Mandy, you're just a wealth of knowledge. Obviously, it's amazing to see your insight, your guidance, your direction, your professional expertise on all of this stuff. So I really appreciate you being a part of this. And guys, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this, and more to come. Thank you.